All right, Charlie Madigan. Be nice if. Welcome to Town Hall tonight, folks. This is a regular town board meeting. It will include a public comment portion for anything under the sun, hopefully related to the agenda, but not necessarily. Then a hearing with more public comment, which I know some folks are here to talk about, the house on Mary Frances, and then a bunch of items. In order to get started, we need our town clerk to take attendance and get us started on the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular town board meeting. This is the town of Orangetown, and this is Tuesday, September 9th. The year is 2014. On a roll call, Councilman Troy. Councilman Divney. Here. Councilman Moore. Here. Councilman Valentine. Here. Supervisor Stewart.
Here.
I would ask that everybody please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance as we begin the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Charlie. And on that note, we'll be doing that again, only with even more ceremony associated with it, and in a solemn way on September 11th, on Thursday, when we have our annual event on the lawn of Town Hall by the memorial, a reading of names, presentations of poetry and music. Whole thing takes about 35 or 40 minutes, and I invite anybody who'd like to participate at 6 p.m. to Town Hall for the 9/11 ceremony. That's a reminder to the town board, too. Again, it's Thursday, 6 p.m. is our 9/11 ceremony. The police union, and my assistant Elijah, and the clergy and others have gotten together and produced a really great program. So that's Thursday at 6. Just one or two other announcements I wanted to make. Just heads up about next week. We're having a workshop meeting, and there's a couple of presentations. We're having the libraries come in during what would ordinarily be police commission. All right, I talked with Chief Nolte about it. He's willing to forego that. And so I'll be passing out during the coming week any documents we got relative to the libraries, and they'll bring stuff in. Denise Sullivan has been working hard on the contracts for the special districts, libraries, ambulance, paramedics, Blauvelt Fire, and so on. So the police commission next week will be actually presentations on library budgets. We'll also have a presentation on Broad Acres Golf Course, an update from Applied Golf there. And we'll have the Orangeburg Commons zone change petition. So just a heads up. On October 4th, we're doing our facilities tour. Is it okay if we start at 9? Does that work for you guys? Yeah. That's not too early? Whatever's comfortable. We'll try and fit in as much as we can. And as I said last time we got together, if you have any special requests for parts of the town facilities you want to see, I can arrange for that, make sure we have the right keys. I know Charlie's looking forward to taking us up on top of Mount Nebo.
Yes.
So.
And then you could probably bicycle down.
There you go. Sounds like a good plan.
Unless you want me to wait for you, then I would be happy to do so.
Well, we'd be lost without you.
Well, my point.
When we're up there, we can also take a look at the big steel tanks that Eric's staff is having to go back over and over again to wipe off the graffiti. That we have the idea of the derelict steel water tanks, of taking those down and having a salvage company haul them away. And just a reminder, we've gotten a couple of resumes for the vacancies on the planning board and the architectural review board. I don't know if I've gotten any referrals from members of the town board. I'm sure you know people who would be interested. And if you could just plug that. We've had a little blurb in our town, and I'll continue to promote it. But it'd be nice to get some more names in the hopper. A couple of good people have put their hats in, so that's a good start. So with that, are there any other comments or announcements from members of the board that you'd say, or we'll cut to the chase and get into our public comment period? No, not seeing any? All right, well, everybody welcome back after Labor Day. So again, the way we start a regular town board meeting is with public comment on the agenda. And it so happens that tonight we also have a public hearing about these foreclosed or zombie properties. There's two of them that the building department is putting together a proposal for the town to do some cleanup work there. And that public hearing is scheduled for 8 p.m. It is not 8 p.m. yet. And I don't know if there's a way to start that earlier or not. Generally, we don't. So, but we do have public comment. You're welcome to talk about the zombie properties during normal public comment, and we're all listening. And I don't know if there's a way to have those comments sort of shifted over into the public hearing somehow, but let's see what people have to say. I have Acela Soma Figuera from Tapan. Yes, ma'am. Sorry, Paul, you have a...
You should be on the regular public hearing.
Oh, sorry.
Public hearing.
Thank you for pointing that out. South Mary Francis, 44. Okay, regular. Well, with that, actually, I just do a proper resolution. Motion to open the public portion of this meeting. Second, Tiffany, all in favor, say aye. All right, we're off and running. So we actually, sorry about that. I was pulling from the one about the property maintenance. So we actually have one person signed in for general. That's Eileen Larkin. Eileen, if you would come up to the podium, and we maybe...
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you. I'm talking tonight about the pilot program that is being proposed for 1 Ramblin' Road. I believe you all got my email. I only heard from Tom Moore. Thank you, Tom. Spoke to supervisor a few minutes ago. I'd like some clarification on the on what is involved with the pilot program that is being carried out by the Rockland Industrial Development Agency. In the article, in the legal notice, it has that they want relief from a $2,546 sales tax because the renovation they're doing is costing about $30,400,000. It's good to see business come into Orangetown, certainly. We want that. We don't want empty buildings. But I think the pilot programs and the sales tax issues and the leveling off of their taxes for a number of years should be clarified by you, the town board. I believe you have to sign off on it, you and the school district. It would be the Pearl River School District at this joint venture. But I think in all fairness to the people that live here in Orangetown, and every year we hear the county saying they don't have enough, they never got enough sales tax to reduce the taxes, the mortgage taxes didn't come in like they wanted, goes on and on and on. So when you see somebody getting relief of over $2 million, residential people really get hit. Taxes in a commercial base benefit the commercial base. Tax certiorari's tax relief hit the residential people also. So anyway, I'm hoping to find out a little bit more. I'm hoping to get FOIL a copy of the pilot program that is in existence either for the state of New York and then the county and the towns and the schools have to abide by. I was looking up one in Massachusetts, and they had some interesting guidelines. One of the things I remember, and perhaps I'm wrong, I hope not, is that at one time when you gave a pilot program, the applicant had to give back to the town something. It was called payment in lieu of taxes. And it was a developer who wanted to come in and build a house or a building, whatever. Gave something to the town, maybe you said before, maybe an ambulance, something to the Parks and Rec. These people are getting from us, from the taxpayers. So what are they giving back to the town? To say thank you. Your mother always said say thank you when you get something. So they should be giving something back to us. And I think the meeting is Monday at 9:30 in the morning here in Town Hall, September 15th. I think it's open to the public if anybody wants to come, if they have any interest in seeing, finding out more about this application, they can come and they can look over the application at the Blue Hill office of the Rockland Industrial Development Agency. It's at Blue Hill. The Blue Hill building, number 2 Blue Hill building. But anyway, that's my spiel for tonight. Those are my questions. Are we going to ask them, or do we have to ask them if they are going to give something back to the town of Orangetown? And I think it was to clarify some of the money that's not going to their tax relief for 10 years. Hopefully, it's not 40 years like up in Ramapo. These are things we should know, and transparency should be there, because, as you know, it's getting harder and harder. However, our school taxes in South Orangetown went down. At least mine did. Either that or I subtracted it wrong. I don't know.
Thank you very much, Eileen, for those comments. And I don't know, you know, yeah, I was going to say, we can't get into a whole presentation about the nuts and bolts of the IDA process and so on, but I could certainly do that offline with you, or set up a time with Brian Kenny, who's very much our point person when it comes to working on those things.
So, am I right? Dennis Troy did not want to pursue.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you well enough when you're...
I know my voice. Dennis did not want this to be discussed.
No, he just wants to be able to proceed with the meeting. I don't have any other sign-ins for public comment. Is it by raise of hand? Would anybody like to address that issue to the town board at this time? Seeing none, I have a motion to close public portion from Dennis Troy. Do I have a second? From Valentine, all in favor, say aye. Aye. The ayes have it.
Just one point on the last issue. Now that the public portion is over, which is not a dialogue, all right? You talk about transparency. This isn't a conspiracy when somebody's asking for a pilot or whatever they're doing. And, no, you're implying. But it comes before the board.
Let's,
Out of order.
yeah,
But
Dennis, why don't you just finish what you're saying?
it comes before the board eventually if the county agrees, if the school agrees, it comes before the board, and then we will vote on it, the merits of it at that time. So if you want to go to the public portion, knock yourself out, all right? I've met with those owners, I guess, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago. They're building a data center, that's all it is, all right? In terms of what they should do in lieu of taxes, you kept saying sales tax, it's property tax we're talking about, it's not sales tax. And that's the thing in terms of givebacks. You can check the recording. In terms of givebacks or whatever, it's whatever the regulations are that deal with that particular parcel. You know, it's not up to us, so.
An exemption on sales tax
Yeah.
up to $2,546,000. You read it.
Yeah. John, would you like to address this matter?
The pilot is talking about property tax.
Sales tax is an issue that is handled by the IDA exclusively. They're required to hold a public hearing in the municipality, but the board doesn't participate in that. It doesn't involve the town. So if it's only a sales tax exemption, that's an application solely to the IDA, and the public hearing doesn't involve or require even the presence of the board. The board has no say.
We have, yeah, that's what I was going to say. We could jump ahead because we're required, actually, since we notified the public and the media that 8 p.m. was for the public hearing, to stick to that schedule. So let's just jump ahead in our agenda a little bit. Number 8, appropriately enough, coincidentally has to do with taxes. Both 8 and 9 are tax cert cases that I'll just read briefly, and the board can vote on it. These things were workshopped before. Upon the recommendation of the assessor, approve and authorize Dennis Michaels, who's one of our deputy county attorneys, to sign a stipulation of consent judgment regarding a property in Nyack, so on and so forth. A refund by the county, this gets this property owner a refund by the county of about $11,000, the town of about $25,000, and the school district of about $107,000. Interest on the town's liability as a result of assessment decrease or refund is waived if payment is made within 60 days after a copy of the order is served on the town. We got a motion from Divany to move this resolution. Do I have a second? Second from Troy. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. The same basic phrasing, only different property for number 9. This is Parsegian. The numbers are slightly different, 4,000 for the county, 16 for the town, 49 for the school. Again, they have to be refunded based on a change in their assessment. I'll make a motion for this one. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Let's just point out, as we usually do on these, that the school district always okays it before we go ahead with it. So they've been fully involved.
Yeah, they have the most amount of money on the table.
Yeah, not like in Suffolk.
Yeah. Number 10, and a number of them, it really reminds you of all the great things that are going on in the fall in Orangetown. We have a whole bunch of events that have obtained various kinds of support from the town, whether it's trash cans, porta potties, the showmobile, different kinds of support. Number 10 is,
Number 10, I just wanted to make an amendment to it and add golf cart.
you kosher with that? All right. Let's see, where's that going to read? Cones, trash can, You got that, Charlie?
Yep.
All right, so as amended, this is a resolution in support of the Sons of Italy Festival with various material support. I'll make a motion for this. Can I have a second? Divany, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 11, the Blava Lions Club with its famous annual Apple Fest event down in Flywheel Park in Piermont. Recycling kiosks and garbage cans. Maybe Paul would like to move this one, being a strong supporter of the Lions.
Yep, I'd like to make a motion to approve that for the Blowout Lions Club. They do great stuff for this community.
Do I hear a second? Over here?
Second.
Second from Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a motion from Divany to approve the aid for Pearl River Day. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
From Moore, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number 13 is a showmobile for September Fest Street Fair. I'll make a motion for that one. Can I have a second? Second from Divany, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, everybody should come out for September Fest. Number 14 is the showmobile for the Fire in the Sky event put on by Dominican College. Who would like to make a motion for that one?
I'll make a motion.
From Valentine.
Second.
Second from Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Yeah.
How am I doing on the clock here? 7:51. The next one is the famous Halloween parade in Nyack. Looks like we're getting a showmobile. I'll make a motion for that. Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 16. Okay, now we're getting into a little more nuts and bolts stuff. Actually, there's another one about the Apple Fest up there. This pertains to an agreement between the town and the Red Cross for emergency management and the use of a trailer and its location on town land in the event of the need for temporary shelter. It's been reviewed by the town attorney and so on and so forth. Certificates of insurance have been passed back and forth, and it's completely legit. I hear a motion from Tom Divany. Can I have a second?
Second.
Over here for more. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now back to Apple Fest. We're adding 2 porta sands to be brought down to Flywheel Park. Paul, you want to do that one again? Sure. Paul, Valentine, second over here from Troy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Number 18 is a acceptance of the resignation with regret of Detective Patrick Frawley due to a disability situation that prevents him from continuing as a police officer after rendering many years of excellent service to the town. Who would like to make a motion on this one?
I'd like to make the motion.
From Troy?
And
All-
on the motion, I want to say, Patrick Frawley, I know since he was a young man in grammar school, and was on the police department for 18 years and rose up to detective. And he was somebody you could always count on. He was like a rock. And he was a leader. He was somebody who gave his all to the town. He got involved in a lot of situations where things are going on different sides. And again, he brought people together. And he got injured a year ago, St. Patrick's Day, helping another officer. And unfortunately for him, it was his 3rd injury on his gun hand. And he had several operations in order to try and stay on the job. and he's leaving, and because he can't continue as a police officer. He can't because of the injuries to his hand, but quite a loss to the town.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Dennis. All in favor, say aye. The ayes have it. All right, 6 minutes left. Let's see. What we have from the town clerk, we also have some new business items following along, but from the town clerk, there are 7 documents to receive and file. Do I hear a motion for this one, please? Move from Divany, second from Moore. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Tom. All right, number 20, this flea market, run by the Lions Club in Pearl River. I'll make a motion for this. Can I have a second? Second from Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Colonial Day and Tapan, this is number 21. Recycling kiosks and other support from the Highway Department. I'll make a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
From Moore, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. This is the Orangeburg Library Picnic. This is retroactive. It was actually a lot of fun. And we supported that as well. I'll make a motion for that. Can I have a second? Second from Divany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The chili cook-off is coming up, and we have support for that. Turns cans, dumpster, cones, and so on. Will be on Central Avenue, Field, and Pearl River, September 27th. Who'd like to make a motion for this one? From Troy. Second from Moore. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right. Really, it is great to see all this stuff going on. Yeah, well, not quite enough time for an audit. It's a nice idea. So we have documents here related to the public hearing. John, do you have material to distribute? No. Yeah, the booklet up front with the town board agenda and background has information. It was online. It has pictures of the properties in question. And that was distributed to the media and so on. Okay, would you like to distribute them? Is it something you want to hand out? Great. Would you please hand them out while we're...
This way we can look at it before.
We're just, we try to be in compliance with the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, and this hearing starts at 8 p.m., which is 2.5 minutes away. I'm looking at pictures of broken windows, overgrown trees,
Yeah, this is,
and so on and so forth.
yeah. A beautiful neighborhood.
It's a shame because the value of it's just getting diminished by every rainfall that comes along. This is all Mary Frances.
Yeah, but you called them. You know what I mean? You don't, if these people paid the bill, called them, do they have one? But the bank should have an insurance company. We should have, regardless of 9/11, this is the last public meeting before 9/11. There should be a moment of silence, I think. I mean, I'll say it, but
Those are pictures. One of those pictures is of your house, the one with the melted fence and so on. That's your house. Right. Right. All right, don't say too much. We're going to get you up at the podium in a second. More photos coming your way.
so 7:59.
All right, well, I'm not seeing a stampede coming in the door. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing, property maintenance code on 2 South Mary Frances Street and 44 Livingston Street. The first resolution. Thanks. It's a public hearing to address the property maintenance code for those 2 properties. And if we could just start with having John Giardello speak to the matter to kind of set us up, right? And then we'll hear from the neighbors and proceed through our hearing process, and then presumably get to a decision.
And thank you, John, for that short environmental form. I'll put that in the minutes.
Thanks, John.
That we have looked at and that we have not gotten any results in terms of any kind of cleanups or fixing or remediation. I'll go through the first one, which is a little simpler, which is 44 Livingston Street in Tappan. There's some overgrown vegetation. There's shrubs and other types of things that need to be fixed in terms of the property more so than the structure. And so that's fairly straightforward. There's some bamboo on the property that needs to be cut and taken away. And that's basically it for that property. The second property is a little more complicated. It's 2 South Mary Frances Street. It's actually a house that's been abandoned. It suffered some fire damage back in 2010. Then I think there was another fire in 2013. I think it was part of an accessory structure burnt down, but it actually spread and hit the main structure. That also has issues with overgrown shrubs and other things that are not maintained. Again, the house has been abandoned. They did try to board it up, I guess, at one time, but that's sort of fell apart. And so it's a little more complicated in the sense that the structure itself, and I didn't go into the house, but I looked at the house from outside, doesn't seem to be in imminent danger of collapse, but there is some, it is in poor shape. I'm sure when you hear from the public, they'll tell you more about it because they live there. There's siding missing off the back of the house. There's one story, a rear section that's open to the public, you know, open to anybody who can walk in. So there's some issues with it. And that's it.
Could you just give us a little understanding of the criteria? Because I know that when we first got calls on this and went to look at it, I mean, I'm sure at least some of the people believe that it ought to be ripped down. And how you decide kind of what is the appropriate legal response and sort of how that decision is made. And if you
Okay.
see that as something that will happen in the future or that we should be considering at this time.
The town code has 2 chapters. There's chapter 24C, which is the property maintenance chapter. And that chapter allows us, or the town board, to pass a resolution, and then we can go to the property and clean it up. We fixed some houses up. When I say fixed them up, I mean made them a little more presentable, painted, fixed the gutters, things of that nature. And then, you know, obviously clean the landscaping up, or if they had garbage on the property, we had it removed. Then there's another chapter, chapter 37 of the town code, which is the unsafe buildings section. And that basically gives the town board some options in terms of when a building is just considered unsafe. Now, in the past, we've looked at buildings and typically they have some structural defect or deficiency at that point. There was one in Spark Hill recently where you can visibly see the roof was collapsing, the chimney was leaning, and there was other issues related to some imminent collapse. That's what we've used that section for in the past. So that's basically how it's worked. This building, again, I don't see any imminent collapse, but again, there's, you know, a hole in the roof. from what I understand from the fire inspector who went into the building, he's indicated that the inside was not damaged that bad by the fire. So a lot of the damage is exterior, and again, that was the second fire, probably caused more of the exterior damage, where you can see the siding's melted, the rear portion of the siding's gone, it's off the house. And then there's, charred areas in this one-story building, or one-story portion of the house, of the building.
Could you, thanks for that, and I think we'll probably have more questions about that, but could you just outline, like, if this is gonna go to bid for work, like, what will be the sort of the items on that bid for
We usually-
tackling the scope of that for that property?
Okay, well, we usually look at the scope in terms of taking, the least resistance or the least path. So the idea usually is to secure it, clean it up, make it presentable,
When you say secure, do you mean doors, windows?
board up the windows, board up any openings, clean the property up, things of that nature.
I don't mean to be nitpicky, but are the boards painted to match the house, or is it like raw plywood or something like that?
We've used, we haven't, but they have put on raw plywood.
Right.
But we did have one house that they actually painted portions of the house because the siding was deteriorated, or, fixed the gutter, gutters were falling off. It depends what kind of damage there is.
So for this house, do you have like a list of the items that would need to be addressed under the,
I don't have a formal list. Like I said, there's a couple of things between the landscaping and then some of the exterior, and then the windows need to be boarded up, and any openings, there's some doors that are open, things of that nature.
yes, sir?
John, is the house owned, or is it in foreclosure, or?
Good question. It actually, there's 3 owners, but apparently there's a list pendants, so they're in bankruptcy court, and we did receive a letter from an attorney in August saying that they wanted us to hold off on doing anything until the judge made a decision. Haven't heard anything else. I'm not sure.
It's in
Yeah.
bankruptcy court, or is it in, Supreme?
Bankruptcy.
Bankruptcy court.
Were they gonna stay?
There's no. There is an automatic stay, as you know, in bankruptcy court with respect to many enforcement actions. An unsafe structure would not fall subject to that. However, there's apparently a dispute between the mortgage lender and one or more of the owners.
Could you hold the microphone up so folks can hear you? Thanks, John.
There's a dispute between the mortgage lender and one or more of the property owners, and there was a request by the attorney for one of the property owners to delay action, for the town to delay action pending a decision by the bankruptcy judge, who indicated that he or she will act expeditiously. I don't think that requires you to defer action tonight in terms of maintenance. I would not advise knocking the structure down, but I don't think John is asking or suggesting that at this stage in any event, so.
If there's a list pending, that means that there's a foreclosure action pending, which means they filed a bankruptcy proceeding to buy themselves time. So, as someone who does foreclosure defense, they're asking us to wait, and we could be waiting, maybe not so much with the bankruptcy, but with the foreclosures. I've got clients that have been waiting 4 years to be foreclosed on, so I think we act based on what we hear tonight.
Is the Livingston Street home occupied?
To my knowledge, no.
So that's empty too? Is there an owner?
I think they left, but they didn't, it's not,
On both of them, Bob?
Check two more addresses, I'll check that one. 44 Livingston, the town and county was paid by Blackstar Bank.
Yeah, it appears they both have mortgages on the property, so the bank's gonna protect their investments. They're gonna continue to pay the taxes even though they haven't moved to
Right.
do anything on the property.
They didn't do a good job protecting that investment. You think they bought up the windows? Okay.
somebody cut the bushes in the front as of today. I don't know who did, but You can see there's some fresh cut bushes. That's on 2 South Mary.
That's all I have, thank you.
If you do take the action of passing a resolution to demolish it, it's a little more involved in the sense that there's a 30-day period that the person or the owners have to come back and do something, and then they have to remove it within 60 days after that. So there's it's not going to happen tomorrow if you did take that action. And we would have to, obviously, just like we would on the property maintenance, get 3 bidders and come back with a price and put a lien on the property and things like that.
How likely is it if we spend money that we'll get our money back at some point? So it's 100%, like
Well,
sooner or
yeah, I
later, the
mean,
town's gonna pay.
You're looking at probably to clean the property and do some repairs, maybe like $10,000, as opposed to maybe 30 to 50,000 to demolish it. And the reason I say that is because I don't know what's in it. If there's remediation work like asbestos and cleanup, would cost more. So, it involves taking the house down, but it also involves other things.
I mean, I can tell you, how many times have we, do remediation on a house on Orangetown Road? Like 3 or 4 times, right?
Well, that's correct too. We have
And the
properties,
remediation cost went into their next tax bill,
that's correct.
and it actually, now there's a structure on that house.
Excuse me?
They put that Orange Road lot, they're building a house on it.
That's correct. Somebody purchased it.
5 years later.
So they're paid up.
Which, what's the name of the bank? What's the name of the bank? Lifestar? Black Star. That's why you don't want to.
If the town board will permit, it'd be nice to hear from some of the folks here to speak on this, and we might have John come back up as well. Thanks for your proposal here and the background information. Taking a look at our sign-in sheet, all the comments are for 2 South Mary Francis, so there's nobody here that I've seen anyway for 44 Livingston. Let's start with Acela Soma Figuera. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Good evening, board members, and good evening, community. My name is Acela Soma Figueroa, and I live directly next door to this house. We all know that this house is an eyesore, but to me, it's more than just being an eyesore. It is a safety concern to me. I feel that this house poses an imminent danger of collapsing or whatever. About 2 months ago, there were some teenagers running around playing in there, and the next day the boards were off the house. I live in fear that there might be another fire, yet another fire. It's 2 fires already, and the way this place looks, I'm afraid that there's going to be another fire. And my family and I had to live through it because our retaining wall caught on fire, our fence caught on fire. We had the tree, an old tree that we love, caught on fire. Everything had to be taken down. And it was a very scary situation. We thought that all this was going to come into our, further into our property. So the way this place looks, I feel that, whatever you can do as board members would be truly appreciated. And to me, as a resident living there, I feel that the best thing would probably be to demolish this house. I don't know the cost factors or anything like that, but I think it would be peace of mind for everyone in the community, in the neighborhood, because I don't know how cost-effective it would be to just mow the lawn. That's not going to do anything. The place is still going to look the same, and the danger is still going to be there. So, those are my concerns, and again, I thank you very much for listening to these concerns.
Thank you, and you've also distributed photos
Yes.
to the town board.
Yes, also the photos, and as you can see, in those photos, you can see what the place looks like. You can see that, there are no windows, and it's just totally, it's just, I don't know what to say. It's beyond repair to me. Thank you.
Thanks for speaking up on it. Just before I invite the next one, I have a clarification question for John. When we do these maintenance contracts, Do they involve ongoing monitoring, or do we have to have like a whole nother public hearing if someone knocks some boards off those windows? So the contract is for a one-shot deal? I'm hearing yes from the sides here, so is that a simple answer?
We've actually done both.
Done both?
Right, we've had in the past done a one-time, cleanup, but then we've also done where we have an ongoing review of the property, and then you approve it so that we can just go in next time and have them clean it up again if they have to.
Because clearly the grass is gonna grow or something's
Right,
gonna
I
grow.
mean, that's,
Up to a max of some, we pick some number.
correct. So we have
Somewhere
another
along the line,
prop,
we're
as
still maybe
Den-
coming back to knock it down, but that's a whole nother deal.
as Dennis knows, we have another property in Palisades that this constantly happens. The people do not live there, and they started working on it, and then they stopped working on it. I don't know why, and so they just let their property overgrow. They don't come out and clean it. So they, we've gone in there a few times, cleaned it up, cleaned it up, cleaned it up. But only, you pass like one resolution, basically saying up to a certain amount, and then if it exceeds that, come back to us.
Right, you cap it. Thanks, John, for the clarification. I'm seeing Tom Guthrie signed in. Oh, sorry. Yes, sir. How are you?
Hi, good evening. Well, I'm a neighbor adjacent to, there's a triangle, we all come together, our properties, and this has happened now since 2010. It seems a lot longer than that, and I just made an assumption that somewhere in the town, building department, some kind of condemnation was taking place. When you look at that every day, as I do, and you think of the Figueroas moving in, the improvements they made, and you look at the status of this. Now, I ask you, I don't know if any of you have ever seen the house in person, but I would ask you when you come to work sometime in the daytime and you're near here, just to pass by and make the assumption that we non-engineers would make. This house is, to me, safe to say unsafe. I can't picture fire department sending anybody inside this building, and I'm just sure they wouldn't do it. But I mean, it's just amazing what it does to the character of the neighborhood. And I think the young man that was just here talking was talking about some events that take 60 days to take place and some to take 90 days and stuff. Well, this is 5 years gone now. It would seem starting something would be worthwhile doing. But certainly I'm lost in the law here and all, but I would really ask you to just drive by and take a look. I mean, don't even look, just drive the street. You'll see it right away. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that perspective. Terry Guthrie? No, but we got another Guthrie here. Yes, you, ma'am. All right, so you're not looking to speak? All right, sometimes people think this is just a sign-in sheet, which is understandable. All right. Can't read the writing on this one. Ryberg. I'm sorry, I'm going to demolish it. You want to take a shot at that one?
Who was the next one to sign in that would like to speak?
Nice black felt pen.
That'll be me.
Okay, sir. You don't have to worry about anybody forging your signature.
Well, I should have gone
Thanks.
to medical school then. My name is Miles Mahadi, and I'm one of the owners of Record. And the first thing I'd like to do is apologize to all of you. And I'll tell you, I need a minute to explain this particular situation. And I think Mr. Davini said that it was an attempt to buy time that we went to bankruptcy court. It wasn't. It was an attempt to stave off Wells Fargo with our current residents. From the first fire in 2010, the fire was deemed suspicious. Both myself and my wife were in law enforcement. So it was a suspected case of Jewish lightning, which was proven not to be the case, but an electrical fire.
I'm sorry, could you describe that in terms that are more sort of clinical?
Well, an insurance fire.
Insurance fire, right?
Right. And that was very upsetting to us. It was actually proven to be an electrical fire. given that that was mentioned to us that night, and the reception we got from the Orangetown Police Department with regard to that particular investigation, which I found insulting to say the least, we had to go and get a criminal defense attorney also, who advised us to not set foot on the property and see what happened. The insurance company sent $159,000 in proceeds, insurance proceeds, to Wells Fargo, who never notified us they received the check. And this is part of the ongoing litigation, in addition to double endorsed notes and several other things. So that's why this has dragged out. We would love to have had this done years ago. It's devastated us financially. It's, you know, it certainly harmed our relationship as a family, because it's an eyesore that we go past all the time. And I think everybody will say that when we moved into that house, we did tremendous improvements. You know, the house was well kept, well maintained. So it was really following the advice of the attorney that told us you can't go there. When we contacted Wells Fargo about the insurance proceeds to be used to repair or restore the property, that's when the litigation really stepped up. It's still ongoing. There's another, I think, $70,000 in an account held by the insurance company, because they won't give it to us and they won't give it to Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo have indicated that they're quite prepared to release funds to either demolish the house or do repairs. I can either put the town attorney in touch with our attorney, or give you the information for the Wells Fargo attorney. And that would rectify that, where the town is out of no cost, or no cost out of pocket. And that's pretty much it. I will say that for the second fire, again, we received a call from the police department and some crackerjack investigators here, I can tell you, because there was somebody apprehended at the scene, apparently who had a history of fire setting, and was more or less immediately released. And I think there was a witness who's probably here tonight, or can certainly testify to that. So that's where we're at. You know, my attorney for the foreclosure told us not to actually come tonight, that they would handle it. But we owed it to you. You know, you're our neighbours. We still live in the town. We're stunned that it took the building department this long to do something, because both our criminal attorney and our civil attorney told us not to approach the town with a view to getting something done with this. It's an absolute eyesore. It's a disgrace. We're embarrassed, and we really do genuinely apologise. But these are things that are out of our control completely. You know, so I'm quite happy to provide the information, if, you know, after the meeting, or if you want to take it now. But I don't think there'll be a problem getting, you know, the estimates. We got two estimates. Both were like 17,000, 18,000.
Is that for demolition you're talking about?
Demolition, yeah, demolish it, absolutely. Absolutely, it's an eyesore. You know, there's a major foundation problem that's only gotten worse because of it. Well, I wish we'd met you before we bought the house, you know. But, you know, like, we're quite prepared to help and expedite this in any way we can. You know, but, like, really, this fire was 2010. There was no real repairs, the second fire, and now we get, like, a notice stuck to our door 4.5 years later. That's a little silly. At least I think it is.
Well, we certainly have to show the lawyers talk to each other if you're saying that there's money available for demolishing the house, and that's what you'd like to see happen.
Well, I'm not quite sure I understand. If it was 2010, I appreciate your concern for the neighbors, your concern in coming here to explain the situation. But, you know, you're a property owner. You have a mortgage lender that you selected, who funded your loan, and you and Wells Fargo are in bankruptcy court and no doubt in Supreme Court arguing. The town doesn't have a property interest. When you say, I don't know where the town has been since 2010, where have you been since 2010?
Following the advice of our attorneys.
Well, you know, that's another person with whom you have a personal relationship. When your attorney says not to contact the town, not to go on your property, not to maintain your property, it's not the fault of the town. Maybe the town is, has been a little lax in not spending taxpayer money to maintain your property because your attorney told you that you shouldn't do it in your best interest. But, I mean, it's somewhat offensive to shift the blame to the town because the town has no property interest. Now, you're saying go ahead and knock it down, but your attorney is sending a letter saying we're in bankruptcy court, hold off. It was nice of you to come tonight and explain the situation. Perhaps 2 years, 3 years ago, you could have explained that to the building department. So here we are tonight. I'm not recommending to the town board that while the matter's pending before the bankruptcy court, because the owner whose attorney has told him not even to contact the town says, we don't care if you knock it down. You're
Well,
not
I
saying
don't- I
go
don't-
ahead and knock it down, you're saying, we don't care. And then, when Wells Fargo makes a claim, because the bankruptcy court resolves the proceeding potentially in favor of Wells Fargo or an insurance company, and the town now has somehow compromised their interests, no. It's nice, and I think the apology is long overdue to the neighbors. And I'm sure your attorney will inform the town when the bankruptcy proceeding has been resolved. But it's a little late in coming.
Point, counterpoint.
Yeah, counterpoint.
Thank you for that, but maybe, I don't know, we need to talk more back and forth,
Well,
because you
no,
can certainly
I
meet
don't
with our
want to
town
talk
attorneys
more.
afterwards, but there are other people who are here to speak as well.
Oh,
And I'd
well,
like you and us to be able to hear from them.
Okay, well, my point is that I believe Wells Fargo was notified about this hearing tonight as well from the building department. Was there any representation from them? Have Wells Fargo ever contacted the bank? And again, I'm not trying to, Mr. Edwards, shift the blame to anybody else.
Okay.
Listen, I understand the situation completely, but if we're accused of a criminal act, or it's implied that we're involved in a criminal act, do you seriously think we're going to step back onto a piece of property? I mean, I think that's extremely naive.
No, that's not what he was suggesting, but in
Well,
case, let's,
that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
So-
No, that's not,
no,
what
he's
I
just
did.
saying that you were following the guidance of your attorney, which is completely understandable. I want to find out other comments that people have, okay? So
Okay.
if you could just stick with us for a
Sure.
minute or two, we may want to talk more. Anne Marie Castleton?
Hi, I live directly across the street from Miles's old house, who owes me no apology whatsoever. He was a wonderful neighbor. He still lives in the community. This house affects everybody in the town of Orangetown. Our property values are affected dramatically by the inactivity of this house. Boarding it up and making pretty a house that has had 2 fires is not a solution to me. I can't imagine that we would even entertain that notion. For 4 years, that house has sat there, jeopardized the lives of everybody in the neighborhood. Properties have been destroyed. Firefighters who've come out twice to battle those fires. We have called, you called once, my husband called for the second fire. How many more fires does that house have to be? It is a target for anybody in the neighborhood. Everybody knows that house. I don't know why the town is not considering to demolish it. I understand it's in bankruptcy. We could start the process. We've waited 4 years for that house to sit there and fester. And I don't know what the town's, what they're thinking, talking about remediation. Let's fix it up. I just don't. Thank you.
Well, stick around, because we're having that conversation.
Yes, that's why we're here.
And, if there were easy answers, it would already be done. The next person who signed in was Mindy Bonondona.
Can you talk if you didn't sign up, or can I?
Of course, once we get through the sign-ins, we'll do a raise of hands. Absolutely.
I live 4 houses away from the house. I don't want to repeat what everybody said. that is a bus stop for the elementary school kids. Nobody wants to wait in front of that house. It's scary. We've seen rodents coming out of the house. One of my daughters has her permit. She's driving. You cannot see to make that turn by the stop sign. The trees are so overgrown, you have to stop, and then you have to really inch up to see. It's dangerous. There's a lot, the kids, we don't get a bus in that area, so the kids have to walk past that house on a daily basis, twice a day. They're afraid of it. My older kids have seen flashlights in the middle of the night at the house. The second fire obviously was started when the house was vacant. We're afraid that we don't know who's hanging out in the house. You know, like I said, they've seen flashlights. We don't know if kids are hanging out in there. And it's a scary spot in our neighborhood. And I don't think that boarding it up it's not safe. We're afraid that there's a lot more damage that's not showing up on the pictures, that it's, you know, or they're afraid that something worse is going to happen. I'm not good at talking. That's
You did fine. Thank you very much for that perspective. I've got Tanya Garcia.
Hi, I can only reiterate what my neighbors have said. Actually, I don't need to. I agree with them completely.
Thank you. Appreciate that. John Viola or Vidi? Viola, thank you very much.
Similar, it's pretty much, I agree with what has been said here. I also look at the safety. Looking at the structure, for some reason or another, we all seem to know that there is a problem with the foundation of that house. There has been for years. 2 fires, 4 winters. We had 1 blizzard this winter, which was 26 or 23 inches of snow and ice that went through the roof of that house. Not to mention the 2 fires that doused it with water to get all the fire out. We also went through Hurricane Sandy with that house. So there's a lot of water inside that house. I can't imagine the wood in that house is safe for any fireman to go back into it should another fire exist, let alone if that wood would even go on fire after all the water that's soaked into it and destroyed and rotted. So again, it just becomes a safety thing, and values of our house go down. That's what I'm bringing up.
Thanks for that perspective.
One question, though, because now I've learned so much more from the owner than I even knew walking through the door, and I've learned a lot from you, Mr. Edwards, with regards to the legal end of it, and I can understand it. What strength does the town board even have on something like this?
Yeah, we have a fair amount of strength, but we have to act within the law, and that's exactly what we're determining. We're here because we want to help. We're having this public hearing because people have complained, the building department has responded, and we're having a hearing to collect information. And we're very glad that you showed up. We're glad that the owner showed up, and we don't have necessarily all of the information we need. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're collecting it. And there is, as John Giudella mentioned earlier, there is town code that addresses both maintenance and demolition. And we will act based on our own understanding and the advice of our attorneys and do whatever we can, because we're here to help and to maintain the quality of life in the community. And we're going to respond in whatever way we think is going to work best. And certainly having this thing be on a treadmill of maintenance, looking like an eyesore for many years, is not something any of us want to see. I live right next to a house that's foreclosed with a big hole in its roof, and believe me, it's not a pretty picture. And unfortunately, the zombie house thing is out there, and there's been a lot of that. And that doesn't mean our hands are tied, but it does mean that it's not necessarily easy. But we can take immediate action to improve things, and we need to sort out kind of what the final solution will be.
With a case like this, is there a time frame that's set that we'll find out about when something will happen? The only reason I ask is because I live 2 houses away, and while the town was reviewing the area, they stopped by and saw a tree that was in my yard and said, this is, you know, rotted. I received a letter and it needs to be down in 30 days. Like that.
Right. Makes you
and
wonder
you know
where
what?
the focus
It
is.
was one of those things that I wasn't even aware of, but I called my, Mr. Sarvis right away and had him
Right.
come and take the tree down in about 4 days, and it was done. I was just curious, is there a time frame that's set that something needs to be resolved at something like this?
It's a great question, and let's,
Yes, there is.
there will be a time frame, but it depends on the type of action, basically. Can I see, if you're finished with that comment, and we can get a raise of hands, anybody else? I think there was somebody who wanted to speak, go ahead and sign in. There you go, sir. Come on up, tell us who you are, where you live.
Hi, my name's Joe Costin. I live right across the street from where the fire was. Miles, you don't have to apologize because I know who you are and what you went through and that.
Could you just spell your last name, please?
Castleton, Castleton.
Thanks.
And I was kind of upset with the attorney from what he was just saying before about Miles. It's completely bogus. I mean,
It's not, believe me, but
well,
go ahead and
if
say what
he-
you need to
If
say.
he knew what he went through and stuff like that, then you know what? He doesn't have to apologize to anybody because he didn't have any control over it. Okay? And as for the fire, I reported the second fire, and I saw the guy run from the fire. And I was there when they took the kid in. So, you know, you gotta understand his point. He can't go over there because of all the legal action. But my point is, somebody mentioned earlier that it may be $10,000 to fix that house up in the inside. I went over there today. Those walls and the floors inside, they're collapsing.
That was to board it up.
It's not boarded up. Nothing's boarded up.
What he's saying, it was $10,000 to board it up.
Okay.
We do the
Well,
landscaping.
that's what I'm trying to say also is that house is shot. If you guys would go in there, you would see that everything's caving in. And like John said, the foundation is shot also. And what I'm disappointed, I am disappointed in the town, because like John said, he had a tree in his yard, he had to get cut down in 30 days. You know what? I had the same problem. 30 days, but the town, they see this stuff and nothing happens. It's been going on for 4 years. If they can see my tree 2 years ago, and they can see his tree this year, but you guys ride around the neighborhood and you don't see the house across the street. I'm not saying you, I'm saying who's ever in charge of that. I mean, it's just, you know, enough's enough already. It's 4 years, they need to do something. You know what, the last fire that we had here, there was one of the firefighters, an older guy, he got hit by the car down the street. Lucky he didn't get hurt. I mean, what is it gonna cost, what are we gonna do before something gets done to that house? You want to give me $3,000, $4,000? I'll board it up and I'll clean the whole house for you on the outside. I'll cut it in half for you.
The vacant bids.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I'll be the lowest bid. Whatever you get, I'll be the lowest bid, and I'll do it for you.
Thanks for the offer. That may come in handy. By raise of hands, anybody else here to speak on this topic? All right.
You have to close the public portion.
Motion to close public portion regarding South Mary Francis. Yes, sir.
John's recommending keeping the public portion
Okay.
open,
To keep-
have the owner give permission for John Giardello to go
Enter.
into the house, right? Get the permission from your attorney for John to go into the house and let him assess that it's a danger of collapse, and it's a danger, instead of a waste of the money, as some people are suggesting, all right? I think it's very important, personally, to secure the house, board it up, keep people out of there. But if it can be knocked down, I believe in knocking down houses, so it's a thing.
Right.
Well, I'm just saying, from our perspective, we still have to protect the town in terms of getting in the middle of this, all right? And John needs permission to go on the property, so.
Question, John. You go in and you determine that it has to come down. How does that affect us, John? Can we then say do the demolition because it is a safety concern?
If John makes that recommendation, you then will take action. I'll advise you, I'm not doing that here tonight.
Yeah, no,
To you.
well, yeah, exactly.
But my point is, and, I apologize if I insulted somebody, but private property is private property, okay? And for 4 years, okay, if there was an arson investigation, and I doubt that on a crime with a 5-year statute of limitations, 4 years later, the possibility of a criminal charge is a factor in anybody's decision here. But even if it is, you know, a weed whacker, a lawnmower, hedge clippers, putting wood on the window or roof for purposes of preserving the status quo, you know, it's not the town's fault. It's good for people to come in and say, I know him, he's a good guy. In his circumstance, I would have done nothing. Okay, nothing was done because the owner had a legitimate reason, I guess, not to do it. That doesn't shift the responsibility to the town. So my recommendation to the board is the owner, who doesn't need permission from his attorney to say, go in to my house so you can assess the condition, having just said, go ahead and knock it down, which is a far more extreme, you know, course of action. Let's have the owner on the record give the building department the authority to go in, because we don't go into private houses without consent, exigent circumstances, or pursuant to a warrant. But we can have consent, and he can go into it. And if the condition is such that it is an unsafe structure that can only be cured by demolition, he'll report that back to the town, and the town will make that determination. And I think it's wise for the town not to spend $10,000 or $15,000 putting a Band-Aid on a bleeding artery. But it's something. And that course of action that was contemplated tonight includes clearing the property so that it's somewhat less of an eyesore, which could have been done over 4 years by the owner without jeopardy to a criminal investigation. So, personally, I'm not buying that as a reason for not having done so or for shifting the responsibility for the town. Yeah, you can't come in here tonight and say, my attorney, out of concern for my criminal liability, has said, stay off the property, don't mow the lawn. There wasn't a fire on the lawn. There wasn't a fire in the hedges. It's not an adequate excuse. And if the neighbors, I'm sorry, if you people wish to accept that, there's only so much the town can do on private property.
We thank you for clarifying that. So
We're gonna have John go out. When are we gonna reconvene this hearing?
He has to give them permission.
We get permission, and then
John, I'd like to talk on what John said, just
Continue.
because I have personal experience with this. My house actually burned down, and there was an arson investigation, and the arson team from the Rockland County Sheriff's Department was there the next day. In 24 hours, they sealed off a little area and said, go ahead and board up the house and do whatever you have to do. This is the area we're looking at. They looked at that area, they concluded their investigation within a week. They reported to the insurance company where the fire started, that it was not arson, that it was actually the mulch caught on fire. And we were allowed to proceed with our insurance company. Now, our insurance company took 6 months to work everything out and decide whether the house had to be torn down or not. But my house was boarded up. I paid for my landscaper to keep the landscaping cut and clean as much as possible around a burned-down house because I had a responsibility to my neighbors. While I was fighting with the insurance company, I did everything I could to make sure my house was neat and clean and presentable to the community as much as I could until they tore it down. And even when my house was being rebuilt, I took care of the property, I took care of the hedges, I took care of everything I could, because it was my responsibility as a neighbor. So to blame the town for that, I have a problem with that too, and I lived through it, so.
thank you.
all right. So we're gonna
ready to move
reconvene
forward on
this
this.
hearing next week, next Tuesday, at 8 o'clock, and we'll hopefully have John in here after he gets consent. So then John hopefully could have an update and a recommendation for the town board.
So we're going to continue this hearing
Or do we have consent?
Do we have consent?
I'd like to address Mr. Edwards.
I'm not going to sit here and have a debate between you guys. We just want to know if,
I think his apology was totally insincere.
Yeah.
I found his remarks
yeah,
snide.
and you guys, you know what? If you need to take it outside, take it outside, but we're moving on.
I'm not going to take it outside. My point was not about criminal liability, about the perception because of the profession both my wife and myself are in. That was the point. So I see you couldn't understand.
You know what?
I'm not surprised. You certainly have permission to go in. I'll give Mr. Edwards the contact information for
Fabulous.
the attorney. Unfortunately, I've a family member who's not doing well in Ireland, so I'm flying out tomorrow night. I'll give you all the contact information you want if you want to see us or talk to us, and that's it.
That's great.
You know,
We appreciate
and
that.
we can certainly, facilitate any sort of payment for this through the insurance and through the court. We've already addressed it with the court. My point about it taking a long time, you talk about me not maintaining the thing. I think there was some serious dereliction of duty with regard to jobs here. But there you go.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for
And,
your
my
cooperation on that
apologies.
and your astute
All right, so we have the
criticism of our
consent.
building
We'll
department.
reconvene here next Tuesday at 8 o'clock, which is, what's next Tuesday?
Tuesday the 16th.
Tuesday the 16th at 8 o'clock, and hopefully we'll have an update for you as to where we're going with this. And with that, we gotta go into the audit?
Let's make sure.
Oh, the other house.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let's figure out where we left off
Is
here.
anyone here for the other house?
No, there was no one signed in to talk about 44 Livingston. Does anybody want to speak on 44 Livingston? Okay.
Anyone want to speak regarding 44
I
Livingston?
just asked him that, Tom.
No, I'm just making sure. It's kind of loud in here. Going once, going twice. Motion to close the public portion on 44 Livingston.
Do you have a second on that? Second or
Second.
more? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, hold on a second. Okay, resolution number 7 is a town board decision for property maintenance on 44 Livingston Street. It reads, I guess we lost John
Let's-
Z there, because we were supposed to set a number on the
Let's put
cost
10,
of that.
we'll put $10,000 in there. I think that should, he said. Well, if it doesn't, not to exceed, we're not telling him to spend 10. Not to exceed 10. So he comes in for 3.
John will put it out to bid and get the best price.
Well, we
Does
gotta put a number.
10,000 seem like enough?
That's fine.
10,000 is more than enough.
Yeah, I think it's more than enough.
But
How about
we
5?
don't, we're not saying he has to spend 10.
understand that.
You're putting out for bid, we take the
Yeah.
lowest bid, that's the responsible bidder.
It comes back to us to accept the bid.
Yeah, exactly. We have
Well,
oversight.
if it's, $10,000, if that's your, then all you have to do is conform to the procurement policy, which probably, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, requires 3 written proposals. So we can solicit proposals. We don't have to go out to bid. We don't have to take the time
'Cause
that
it's
it
under-
might take to bid. I would suggest that as an ancillary application, because we discussed this the last time, that you solicit bids for this type of work for a year period.
On contingency.
And for contingency, and so that when you make a decision to repair following a public hearing, you simply then tell whomever it is you've selected as the low bidder to go forward, because you've done it on a per man, per equipment, or some other
Sounds
maintenance
good.
type.
John, correct, I don't know if this is an issue or not, but if you do it for a year period, the limit's $35,000
Yes.
or less, so
I don't think.
you need to put that caveat in there, otherwise you need to go out for bid.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Most of these are well under.
Under that. All right, so,
If you're doing for anything that comes up, I guess it's gonna be on a per case basis.
Right.
yeah,
It's not even on a calendar year.
all right, so
You had 25,000
On
in
the-
March, and then you had.
Right, we get, yeah, it's a cumulative cost.
25,000,
All right.
you have to go out to bid.
too many.
Okay, so we have, listen, so we have one resolution for 44 Livingston, and then we'll do it.
All right,
We're considering
I'll-
another one to have a
let's-
contingency
All right, let's
operation
vote on the
going.
motion. Let's not get caught up in the,
So the motion, all right, number 7,
move.
resolved that upon the failure, blah, 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 44 Livingston Street, at a cost not to exceed $10,000, and a lien to be placed on the property for the costs. I'll make a motion on that. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second for Divany. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, now, do we want to do, should we put on a workshop for next week, a resolution that creates a contingency landscaping contract? We can put that together for next week?
Yeah,
workshop
that's
it?
fine.
We'll give you a resolution eventually.
Okay.
All right, on,
The workshop.
yeah, all right, on the audit?
Tell you.
Okay, and today's audit for September 9th, 2014 consists of 5 warrants for a total of $1,837,003.72. First warrant consists of 76 vouchers totaling $315,000 and was all for utilities. The second warrant consists of 2 vouchers totaling $6,700, and that was largely for the Palisades Home Improvements Company for work that they did on the Sallier House. The third warrant consists of 61 vouchers for $145,000, also all for utilities. The fourth warrant consists of 1 voucher for $117, was also for a service, shared services utilities. And then the fifth warrant was 333 vouchers totaling $1,368,000 and included the following items of interest. Number 1, 50 Ramland LLC, $33,000 for an escrow refund. Number 5, $48,000 for Capasso for recycling. Number 7, Comito Corp., $18,000 for another escrow refund. Number 8, Copeland Coatings, $17,000 for parks, repair of various, I believe tennis courts, but various courts in the Parks Department. Number 9, $26,000 for dental benefits. Number 10, the $17,000 for the new time clock management system. Number 13, Montello Group, $43,000 for fuel. Number 17, Jesco, $184,000 for highway equipment purchases that we previously bonded for. Number 25, New York Civil Service, $570,000 for healthcare for CSCA. Number 30, Slack Chemicals, $15,000 for various sewer chemicals. And number 32, Tilcon, $33,000 for highway materials. Any questions on the audit?
Move.
A motion from Tom Moore, a second from Tom Divany for acceptance of the audit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it.
Do you want to do 44? The Livingston?
We did.
Well, you
Oh,
walked
you
out of
did?
the room.
Okay, I was up there. 10,000?
Well, obviously, we don't want to spend that much money.
No, I think we're looking more like 3,000.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
John, while I think maybe while you're out of the room, we talked about having a service on contingency.
Sorry?
A contingency property maintenance contract. So we thought we'd workshop that next week so that whenever there's an issue like this and we have the hearing, we've already selected a contractor to do it.
Right.
That was a recommendation from John Edwards, and I thought we should, so you should,
Right. We have a couple of contractors that we work with. Unfortunately, it depends how busy they are. Some don't respond. We have about 3 people that we've sent, a bid out to get bids,
right.
depending on what the work is.
So would it help if there was one already identified that would provide services to the town?
Can't think of the name of the company, John Bombdano, down in Pearl.
Bonadona?
Yeah.
Yeah, for perfect something.
What's
or
that?
other. I forget what it's called too. It's perfect. No, they call it
I
themselves. I
can't
can't remember.
remember, but we've
Eric
used-
Gorton knows
All right.
because he's used them many times. John Bonadona's landscaping company's name?
Custom Gardens.
Custom
thank you.
Gardens, yeah. Creative
We
touch.
used Edge Landscaping at one time, but then
Or
they
is it
didn't want to
Magic
do them
Bar?
anymore.
That was a TV show.
They got too busy.
Okay.
We've used a couple of different ones.
Too many people talking.
Thank you, John.
All right.
All right.
You try to solve a problem and you get criticized for being too slow at it.
Well, you can't solve it tonight. We're gonna workshop
I
it
know,
next week.
but everybody comes out to, it's,
We have one adjournment.
yeah, Noah Haskell, he's a neighbor of mine, recently passed away, long and illustrious career as a scientist, and I wanted to memorialize his passing. You know? I have met him, actually, yeah, yeah. Really? Yeah, well, the last thing that we dealt with, we've had a problem with sort of abandoned utility poles all over the place, and O&R, says, well, until the telephone or the cable companies move their stuff, the pole sits there. And he had one of those right on his sidewalk, and we've actually got it taken out before he passed away, which is somewhat of a victory for him, I think. But I don't know what he was calling you about, but that was the topic that we were talking about. How come the supervisor hasn't moved that pole yet?
It was before you were supervisor, no, but he used to call and talk about what's going on in the town. He did.
I know
Yeah.
that we have this adjournment, but this is the last public meeting we are going to have before 9/11, and not everybody will be able to make that service. I mean, I personally would like a moment of silence that we would have to honor those deceased to 9/11, and to also mention the community that stood by everybody that lost a loved one, both neighbors and family and friends. And I think it showed what this community, the strength of this community, and what it meant. And I know we're going to have 9/11, but I think tonight would be appropriate for all the people that are unable to make it to that particular.
It's a nice proposal. So let's have our moment of silence in memory of 9/11. Thank you for that, Charlie. And safe trip home for everybody.
Is there anything we need to discuss?
Well, is there anything else we need to discuss? We haven't actually. Oh, all right.
All right, sounds good.